How do we make sure that our long-term relationships don't fall into complacency and stagnancy? And how do we make sure that they instead become foundations for us to become our best selves? I am so excited to dive into this episode today. If you're new here, my name is Sana. I am a feminine energy and embodiment coach, and I empower women to slow down, tap into their feminine energy so that they can come into alignment with their highest selves and thrive in healthy, conscious relationships and create the impact that they came to this world to create. So if you're on a journey of self-discovery and growth and you're looking for your next steps and stepping into your soul purpose and creating your soul-led work, I would love to help guide you to your next level. So tap into the link below if you are interested in working together. So how do we avoid this ever-present issue of long-term relationships, which is complacency and stagnancy? The reason we fall into these places is because as girls growing up, we have been told that when you get married, that's your happily ever after. That's the end of your love story. When in reality, that's just the beginning, but we're not taught what happens after the happily ever after. So when you are just trying to find the one, you're trying to make sure that you are not settling and you are spending so much of your time and energy just to make sure that you're finding the right person to marry, it can feel like a fresh breath of air when you finally do get married and you can take the foot off the gas and completely relax into the essence of love, which is a very beautiful thing and a very beautiful place to be. However, what happens is over time, we still let these places of security and stability and safety become the definition of love. That stops the feminine from feeling that passion and that electricity and the eros and the life force in her own body. So in conscious relationships, if you're on a journey of awakening your feminine energy, you're going to start craving some adventure and spontaneity, and you're going to want more. The problem here is that the men are very, their North Star is peace, it's stability, it's security, it is providing, it is protecting, it is avoiding any unsafety, right? Their number one goal is the safety, to protect and provide for their feminine. But what happens is if they are overbearing in that protection, it can make the feminine energy feel really stifled and not free to express herself. And on the opposite end of that, if they are not protective at all and they don't care about taking care of their feminine, then the feminine can feel abandonment and neglect. A fear of abandonment is so common for the feminine to feel because she thinks that if she steps into her freest expression of self, everybody in her life is going to abandon her because a wild woman is unlovable. So we have to actively do the work to rewrite this story, rewrite this narrative, and reclaim the truth that when women are fully embodied in who they are and who they came here to be, they actually become beacons of love, hope, and peace. And they have enough energy to create a new way of life. So instead of following the old paradigm of the version of marriage that people think is the ultimate view of marriage, the husband, the kids, the house in the burbs, the white picket fence, the vacation once a year until you retire. That story does not work for the feminine. The feminine is not here to play the rules. She's not here to do things the way they have always been done, because what we're going through right now as a collective is a shift in consciousness. So in order for humanity to shift into this new way of life, we need change. And sometimes what happens is you must destruct an old way of being in order to birth a new way. So this is why people really fear a Kundalini awakening, the feminine energy. They really try their hardest to stifle this uprising that's happening within us. Sometimes people go through a midlife crisis and they change up their hair or they splurge on a huge purchase. Those behaviors are the manifestation of suppressing this very alive eros that is inside of your body that wants to be expressed. People think the minute you open up the Pandora's box, then she's going to be free and she's going to create chaos and havoc and mayhem. However, if you give her the container places where she can be free to express and be free to be herself and not feel like she can never express herself, then in those pockets that you give her that freedom, she's going to start to feel safe in your body. So the reason we fall into the stagnancy and complacency in relationships is because we are not allowing our feminine energy within the freedom to express who she is and how she wants to come through. So this is why a lot of marriages end up in these blow-ups and these chaotic uncouplings, because it is years and years of built up resentment for suppressing our own feminine energy. It has nothing to do with our relationship or our partnership. Of course, there's times where people cheat and betray and break that bond, but before that happens, you don't just go from love to breaking a bond. There's a lot of small things that happen, death by 1,000 paper cuts that happen in the in-between. So I want my platform, this channel, this podcast, to be helpful for those to learn the truth about relationship dynamics, the truth about marriage, how to avoid that big blow up, and more importantly, how to make sure that we are creating space for the feminine to emerge and to flow and to express who she is and how she wants to be present in the container of our relationships. So as within, so without. So if you are disconnected from your feminine within you, it's not going to be present in your relationship. If you're trying to get your man to lead the dynamics, you're going to be putting a lot of your power externally in the hands of somebody else. And that is also not going to be the right path, because you're not awakening the beautiful union within your own self first and foremost. So in order for the feminine to awaken, first and foremost, she needs to have a safe masculine container. If you're in a house that doesn't give you the freedom to express, the freedom to dance or be creative or to flow or to rest and play, then the feminine cannot emerge within you. So for me, I was living in a very tiny 1-bedroom apartment, and I had no space to dance, to flow, to be who I am, to be creative. And I let a lot of my husband's way of life influence the way I was working and eating and this and that. And it was very codependent. So I had to create that space for myself, for my feminine to feel safe to express herself. I got myself a studio apartment. Again, this isn't obviously possible for everybody, but I'm just sharing what I did in order to awaken my feminine energy. What I see a lot of other people do is they go to retreats, they have solo trips, or they go have a hotel room for the night alone for once a month or once a week. And the key here is to get creative enough to create a space that is possible for you with the means that you have, right? So maybe it's just like a bedroom in your house, if you have the extra space, to create your own sacred space for you to just go to when you're feeling like you're disconnected from your eros, from your life force, from your creative energy. So really try to make sure that you're creating that within yourself, for yourself first and foremost. And then from that place, once your feminine energy feels safe, coming alive, that is when you really begin to heal really deep wounds, your mother energy. You start to awaken your ancestral lineage, and you start to really connect with your womb. And once you start to build that relationship with the body, your sensuality, your eros, then you can call in the one, meaning you embody this energy that raises the vibration of everyone and everything around you. Once I did that, that is the only time and way I saw a shift in my husband without having to say a word, without having to ask, without having to demand. I saw such a huge shift in him just by me embodying a new version of myself. Today, I just want to go into really quickly, how did I do this work and why did that work help with getting us out of that stagnant, complacent place that we were in our marriage and get us to a place that we are today, which is super passionate and super loving and super kind and empathetic and just deliciously incredible relationship. My husband is the most caring and romantic man ever. He wasn't always like this. He was like this when we were dating, but somewhere along the way, we fell into complacency and stagnancy. We needed to awaken our feminine energy, first within myself and then within our relationship, and create that space in our relationship. He likes to say, create space for the Holy Spirit. I like to say, create space for passion and eros to be alive in our relationship. So if you are feeling like you want more love, you want more passion, you want more energy, you want more creativity, you want more just spontaneity in your relationship, you are right on time for awakening the feminine energy within. So the way that I have awakened my feminine energy within, again, you could do it in many different ways. There's Kundalini yoga, there is breath work, there is other modalities that you can tap into. This is simply what I did and it worked for me, which is I use my signature framework called Unlocking Super You, because I believe that when we are go in our masculine energy, we're only operating from half of our potential and we're completely missing out on a whole nother half that we have access to, which once you awaken that and you bring it into alignment with your masculine energy, you unlock super you. Like you really do become a new version of yourself with so much more emotional intelligence, so much maturity, so much grace, so much power. And it's such a beautiful place to be. I literally just went through one of the most intense situations this past weekend, not being invited to my brother's wedding. It was supposed to be extremely painful for me, but I was so proud of the way I handled it with so much grace and so much power. And my husband also was like, whoa, you have grown so much. And it's all because of this framework that I'm about to share with you. Not to delay any longer, let's dive into it. The way it works is I use the acronym SUPER. So starting with S, it's self-discovery, which means you start journaling and really start remembering everything that you went through in life in your relationships with your mom, your dad, your siblings, your coworkers, your friends, your peers, your relationship with your body, your relationship with your finances, your relationship with Earth, with Mother Nature, whatever it is that you can think of. It took me 8 months of really tapping into sitting with myself and allowing myself to journal every single day with a new topic every day to learn who I am when I'm not trying to gain external validation or approval from others. That 8 months of journaling from January 2021 until October 2021 is when I learned that I need more space. And that is what helped me understand that the dynamics that are currently happening in my relationship are beautiful and great. However, there could be more. So when I moved out of my apartment with my husband, I moved into my own place and we stayed very happily married, saw each other every single weekend. However, we did create space and boundaries and really allowed each other to be free, complete freedom, complete autonomy, split our finances, and we became two complete individual humans in that moment. And that really helped me break free from the programming that I have of, oh, I'm a wife, I can't do this, or I am a daughter, I can't do this. I really reclaimed my sovereignty as being a complete individual person without my obligations or relationships with others. I call this the selfish season. It is so important to go on this journey and really understand who you are and why you're here, which goes to the next step. So first step, self-discovery, the journaling 10 minutes a day. The next step is understanding. Now that you have the awareness of your connection and your relationship with all these things, understanding the patterns and behaviors that show up in your everyday life and in your reality that connect to these stories that we have, the narratives that we play out. So for instance, maybe a story is, I have to earn love. I have never received love just for being who I am. I've always had to earn it through doing things for others. So awareness is seeing that as, oh, now I understand why I'm always doing things in order to receive love. Then goes the understanding, oh, I am like this because this is the dynamic I grew up in my relationship with my parents or caregivers or siblings or student-teacher relationships or what have you, right? And then goes to the next step, which is the purpose. purge. So now this is a beautiful time to let go of these stories, let go of these narratives. They are not you. They don't define you. You're not stuck with them. You can rewrite the narrative anytime you want. You can start a new story anytime you want, a new chapter anytime you want. This is where the journaling turns into scripting, and you start to channel all of that pain and rage into writing a new story. What is the story that you want to write? What is the narrative you want to be true? What feels the most true to you, right? Like, why are we not realizing that each and every single one of us are beautiful divine beings that are here to enjoy the human experience? Really try to rewrite that story. I need to earn love to I am love. And this purging experience is really healing. It's really transformative because you're purging, you're literally getting rid of these stories that have been holding you back for so long, and you're creating space for a new story to exist. And that's where we go into the E of super, which is execute. You execute on this new narrative. So once you get to that step, the universe is going to start sending you opportunities and situations and conversations that give you the opportunity to show that you are different and you do feel worthy of love without having to perform. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to get it perfectly right away. So have a lot of grace and compassion for yourself during this phase. The execute is taking aligned action, really tapping into your intuition and your heart's knowing that you know to be true within, that you are worthy, you are beautiful, you are incredible, you are divine, so that you can let go fully of the stories of your past. And the final step, which is R, you rise and you shine. You become this embodiment of somebody who knows your worth, who knows how amazing you are, who knows that you are worthy of incredible things. So once I went through this 5-step process within myself, that is how I was able to raise the standards at home and in my relationship with my husband without having to try, without having to ask, without having to coach, or without having to go to therapy. I was able to completely transform my relationship with my husband because he saw the way I am now treating myself as somebody who loves myself, as somebody who feels so incredibly worthy of having nice things or having, beautiful experiences, or just paying more attention to my body, being more sensual in myself and connecting with my body. He got to really see me loving myself, and he automatically felt energetically to rise and take care of me in a whole new way. Since then, that was, we moved back in together in June 2022. I went through an entire process of making sure that I am withholding my boundaries for myself and really being self-disciplined in my self-care and in my bath time and in my alone time, and taking care of myself in a way that I never really did before because I just never had the energy to. So now I'm pouring fully into myself while we're living together. He was learning so much more about me, and not to say that it was perfect. That time of coming back into union took a lot of, hiccups and adjustments, but once we got it down to understanding who we are and who the other person is. So then I used the same 5-step acronym for super when we were coming back together and creating this new life together and a new way of being. We made sure not to fall into complacency and stagnancy, and made sure that we kept the eros alive in our relationship. So self-discovery, where are my passions? What are my desires? What am I wanting now, right? So now it shifts from healing to creating. What is the life that I want to create? The self-discovery from the past now moves into the future. What does your future look like? And understanding your partner, right? So you have your vision, they have their vision, understanding where is this collective vision. And then purging. So both of you work on that together. Where are we holding ourselves back, and how can we create more space for us to consciously create this new path forward? Execute. You guys see where your strengths and weaknesses are, and you pick up the parts that need to get done, and you assign roles that are fulfilling and energizing for you and not draining. And you let go of traditional gender norms and find what works best for you and your partner. And then you rise and shine as a conscious partnership that is rooted and grounded in truth and in love. The work that I do with my clients, it's all about balancing your sense of self and another person's sense of self, and how can we create a third path forward to make sure that we both feel heard, seen, valued, recognized, loved, supported, encouraged, just really empowered to be our best selves in the container of a relationship. So instead of the old paradigm where marriage and long-term relationships go into stagnancy and complacency and resentment and bitterness, instead you are consciously co-creating a new path forward to make sure that your relationship is a place where you both get to come and express your full selves, your best selves, and support each other in becoming the best selves of who you are. No more second guessing and no more assumptions, no more thinking you know your partner and or yourself. You are actively doing this work, the 5 steps, every single time you're feeling stagnant or complacent or resentful or bitterness. Tap into these modalities and these tools and do it again and again and again. And each time you're going to enter a new path, a new way of being, a new frequency that your relationship is operating under. And there are no limitations to how many times you can do this. You can do this for the rest of your life every single year. My husband and I are dedicated to making sure that we never fall into a place where we get too comfortable, because we both now see the power of doing this work and the results that we have received have been undeniable. So we're so passionate about making sure that we continue this work for the rest of our lives. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys find your new path forward and co-create your own path to bliss. If you're interested in working together, say you need somebody to hold space for both of you, say you're struggling or you're stuck, that is the work that I do with couples. I do it with women or men individually if your partner isn't ready, and we can start with the self part first, the self-discovery. But if your partner is ready and on board, we can do it together as well. So that's totally up to you, whatever you feel ready for. My discovery calls are available to book, and I would be honored to help you guys fall even deeper into love with yourselves, with your life, and most importantly with each other. I'll see you guys next time.